says you are live. Hey,
We are live.
everybody.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome. It is Thursday
Happy
night.
Thursday.
Happy Thursday. Weekend is almost here.
Friday Eve.
It's the Friday Eve, right?
Friday Eve. And it has been a week. Can I just tell you, we're so blessed to be here tonight. We had a challenging couple of nights,
Man.
but we did not want to cancel tonight because we are so excited to have on another really special guest. This time it's a guest duo, and you may have seen them in our chats a couple of times. But if you haven't, you're going to get to know them real quick. But we have on tonight, drum roll, please, Married with Paranormal. And they are a husband and wife team who work together and started a YouTube channel. And they are very, very involved with paranormal investigations, be it in the cemetery, be it in their home. They're just really inspirational. Love watching the way they work together. You know, their parents as well, and we just really enjoy their company. So we are so excited to bring them on stage and officially introduce them. We've got Johnny and Tabitha from Married with Paranormal. Welcome
Hey guys.
in, you
Hey.
guys.
Hello.
Hello,
Hi.
how are you? Welcome in.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. Hello, chat.
Absolutely. Yes. Speaking of the chat, let's say hello to our chat real quick. We got Christian Sanchez, we got Pirate Green, Trish, of course, Married with Paranormals here. Mitch's Adventures,
Sanchez.
Miss Garcia. Welcome in, guys. So good to see you all. Happy Thursday, folks. This is going to be a great live stream tonight with our friends here. You guys know we love telling ghost stories here, but who better to tell ghost stories with also members of the community here in the YouTube space here. They are well deep in dived into this paranormal investigation community. So we are so happy to have them on with us tonight. We have Johnny and Tabitha. Guys, welcome in again. Give us a little story. What's your backstory here? How did you guys meet? What got you guys into the whole paranormal investigation realm?
Well, we've been together almost 30 years. We actually met in high school and started our family very young, but we have 3 kids, 3 adult kids now, good kids, and we've always been into the paranormal. I guess you want to add in?
Yeah, no, good on.
We've always been into the paranormal. I have. For me, I've always been intrigued by that stuff. Unsolved mysteries. Back in the 80s, I would look forward to that one little segment at the end that was either about an alien or a ghost. I was always hoping for the paranormal. So that's the about the time it really became an interest. But as time went on, I had a few experiences, as she did. So as we were raising our family, we actually lived in a couple of places that had some paranormal activity. And of course, I started watching all the shows when they came out, when paranormal was a huge thing. When Ghost Hunters first came out, we were watching them from the beginning, and then Ghost Adventures. So those were the 2 main influences for me, really. But the one thing I like about Ghost Hunters is how they do their investigation as skeptics, like we are, because 99% of the time, it could be the furnace kicking on and the ducts that change temperature, so they expand, they contract, and that's the popping sound. And you can debunk a lot of stuff. So I like the way Ghost Hunters does their investigations. So we look at it scientifically, but then the Ghost Adventures aspect, I like how they use all the latest technology. And one of the things that really had got me hooked was the Galka family episode when they introduced the spirit box. And from then on, I was just completely hooked with paranormal, and actually have the opportunity to do my own spirit box work now. And I have to say, it's amazing stuff. You want to add anything?
No, I mean, I really think that John, I think you said it all really. He was just, like I said, he had more time to be like really involved in watching that kind of stuff. And I'm kind of
reeled her in, guys.
I know.
She wasn't huge, but I slowly reeled her in.
I'm more like a true crime kind of person. So I don't know. My kids kind of laugh. And like when we were talking about how it can be kind of taboo to be into this kind of stuff, you know, our kids will kind of tease us like we're kind of morbid, so to speak. Like he's really into the ghost and I'm watching true crime, and my daughter's like, you know, Mom, you're a critical care nurse. How can you watch these shows? Like they're just terrible, like people's worst day ever. And I'm like, I don't know, but and true crime is another big community on YouTube. Yes. You know,
yeah,
but like a lot of people are really,
but they're all tied together because with the paranormal, we have a lot of spirits that are looking for help because of those type of situations that they passed in an untimely manner, and those are the ones that really, we actually have a couple of them. We have one, a missing woman that comes through a lot from Georgia. She's been missing for a couple of years now, and we're actually able to maybe possibly contribute to that case and maybe help bring some resolution to that. So yeah, so we kind of
So that's kind of where we're at with things. Like we really would like to tie them and get together a little bit more with the traveling and things, as I was speaking about before the show. But we're, you know, so we still have a little bit before we can travel as much as we'd like to. Yeah. So we're going to start taking some more trips here and there. Like we're waiting on a new grandbaby. So once the baby's here soon, then we will start traveling a little bit more.
Yeah, so some of our fans have, hey, we'd like to see you guys go here and go there. And some of the places are we've been to a couple of them, but we would like to go to more of those notorious places that have been on a lot of the shows. Some of our fans want to see us, see our take on investigating those places. So that's in the future, near future. But for now, we do a lot of the cemetery stuff, local cemeteries. We like the pioneer cemeteries, the old stuff, guys. That's what we like.
Yeah. You guys are so blessed kind of with where you are in the country, because you do have more history there. And trying to find anything really old as far as cemeteries go here is hard. So you have a unique opportunity to truly find some history in your cemeteries, and you do.
Yeah, we have the next vid, we have a premiere coming out tomorrow at noon, and in this premiere we visit a local cemetery, and Ulysses S. Grant's grandparents are interred in this cemetery, and we actually get them coming through with an EVP saying their name, the Simpsons, John and Sarah Simpson. So the grandparents of our former president from the 1800s. So we have some history like that, which is pretty neat. So yeah,
that's exciting.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's exciting. And another thing you do that I love so much is, we talk about these shows, we talk about ghost hunters, and you've got all the production value and their ability to spend hours and hours and hours and then take a good 40 minutes to make some content. And it's so exciting, right? But it really takes a little bit more of a special knack to be able to do that live. And you do that often.
Yeah, it's interesting because I actually, when I first started, I actually kind of would criticize some of the shows that I saw, some of the things that I saw on those shows that I thought maybe like were not real.
Yeah.
But I was shocked to know, like, Zach Bagans gets those 3 numbers that pop up all the time. We know what the 3 numbers we're talking about. Mm-hmm. And for a while, that was popping up everywhere. All of my videos were stopping all that on that number. Our checks for if we were ordering something going through a drive-through would have those numbers. So that kind of
creeped us out a little bit.
And then like another thing, like with the, if anybody's ever seen Kindred Spirits, Amy Bruni and Adam Berry, they have a show together. They were both on Ghost Hunters originally.
Mm-hmm.
They investigate, and they just have a little digital recorder, and they'll say, oh, let's do an EVP session. And every place they go, they do like a 5-second clip, and then they listen back to it, and there's always an EVP there. And I was like, there's just no way they're getting EVPs like that. But since then, like our last video and the one tomorrow, we have a couple of people that are just non-stop talking, just whispers.
Wow.
You can hear it so clear. So, yeah, it's, but we don't have the luxury though of having a production team to go through and cherry pick all of our content
Right.
and whatnot. So, you know, it's pretty cool. So what you guys see with us is just the raw footage, you know, like,
Yeah.
when I put out a video, our footage is normally probably maybe 2 or 3 times that length. So if it's a 30-minute video, we may have an hour and a half worth of footage, and we cut out little parts like setup and things.
Not we, he works very long on listening to those things over and over. Like sometimes I had to say to him, like, stop getting too nitpicky, because he wants to hear every little noise, and he wants to see if it's really a noise or if he's really hearing a spirit, and some of the things you just are inaudible, like he puts on there. I'm like, if we really can't get it in the first couple tries,
I can hear
then
it,
let's let it go, because
they're not going to hear it.
Days going over, this hour. I mean, we really try to limit the time that we're out, 20-30 minutes, that type of thing.
Yeah. So we're actually lucky. So we get really good stuff in a very short time. But yeah, it's not having somebody there to do all, and have to do the editing yourself. It's not easy. Like, yeah, you guys do a lot of editing too. I see you guys post a lot of content. That takes a tremendous amount of time. If content, the people in the chat, you still don't realize it really is a big time investment of your time to do this stuff. So, you know,
it takes hours. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it sure does.
So you guys, sorry,
it's a love of what you're doing to put that out there, and no, it and then sometimes, we take criticism, all of us, and again, I just wish people knew the work that goes in on the back end, and that it's a very big time investment and a care that goes behind it.
Yep,
absolutely.
So you guys mentioned briefly before we started that you guys had some experiences too. You guys lived with some paranormal activity at one point.
Yeah, we've kind of shared a little bit. Hey, Mighty Mel, thank you for the super chat. We can't wait to meet you tomorrow, friend. We lived in a house in Canyon Lake, California. And I believe strongly that there was a portal in that home. Actually, it was beneath the home, in the earth. The house was built on top of a lot that had an incline. So they built the garage and then the house above it. And there was a room aside from the garage that was dirt, a place where you could almost just store whatever, if you weren't worried about it getting weathered or whatever.
I know exactly what you mean.
But as we lived there, the occurrences started small, kind of typical, right? And then it built up and it built up. And then we really just kind of had one night where it got, for lack of better words, really bad, because it involved our children as well. And our children saw the presence. It was a very large orb. But for a long time, they could feel that sense of somebody's watching them. Yeah. There were just so many unexplainable things that were happening in the home. Our animals reacting to it, balls bouncing with nobody around them, bouncing them, even on our outside deck which was just right above this room of dirt I had just told you about.
An invisible ball, a ball
An
that,
yeah,
ball that
okay,
wasn't even there.
yeah, an invisible ball. You could hear the ball on the deck, but there was no ball. But it was, you can't mistake the sound. You knew what the
Sure.
sound was.
Yeah.
I mean, just so many things, and it got to the point where we were afraid to go home. And
That's
so,
yeah. That's not a good feeling when you can't live in your own home.
yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right.
So we went to the Catholic church that was close to our parents' house while our parents watched our kids, and we got some holy water. We talked to the priest before coming home, and then we came home and sprinkled the holy water, did the sage, said the prayers, and knock on wood, it tapered down, and then we moved shortly after that, which was already in our plan to move. But yeah, we could definitely tell an hour's worth of stories from that particular home. But I remember, like I said, when we first started dating, I again had experiences from childhood through my teenage years. It had tapered off a lot in my 20s, but I said, it's at some point it's bound to happen. And so what sounded kind of like a haha joke was like, boy, you weren't kidding. I just always had a sensitivity to it.
Yeah, and that's funny because I'm the big paranormal enthusiast of the two of us, if you had to pick one. But they call her name a lot,
Wow.
and she has a story that you should tell, actually. But she told me this story one time, and she just didn't want to tell it. Like, for some reason, I could tell that it was something that spooked her, and I wanted her to say, you should really express that, tell it, because the more you tell it, the less of a hold it'll have on you. But it's a really amazing story that always intrigued me. Tell it. Tell a little bit. You know what story? Milton story. Yeah, tell the Milton story.
So when I was younger, I was pretty much raised by my grandmother, and my grandfather had passed away, whom I was very close to, and he was he was a deacon in the church. So we went to church every Sunday, and dressed to the nines, and then we would have this huge dinner at the church. And so I don't really know, my grandfather's funeral was the first funeral I really went to. So I'm not really sure how I felt about it at the time, except for I was 11. So I still had this just this fear of ghost, really, because the only thing I knew of ghosts and things were the scary things you see on TV, you know. And my grandmother really kind of we really weren't supposed to watch those things. But so I remember I would say my prayers every night, and really I was afraid of seeing an apparition of my grandfather. And I don't know why I had this fear that I would, but I did. And we had a very close family friend die very tragically. He was set on fire at a gas station. And so he used to call me, he had a nickname. He called me Sunshine, is what he called me. And one night I was getting up at my grandmother's house, going to the kitchen, and I was really thinking about my grandfather at the time. And I walk into the kitchen, and there is this apparition. It's just, but you're almost kind of am I dreaming? I was in that sleepy kind of state, and it was really just a floating head, but it wasn't scary. It was Milton. It was our family friend. It scared me because I couldn't believe what I was seeing in front of me, that type of thing. And he literally just called me by my nickname, which was Sunshine. He was, and, but I was scared, so I just turned around and went back to my room and prayed on it really at the time. And that was kind of it. That was my first experience. So we were married for a very long time, I think, before I really even shared that story.
Told it in detail, yeah.
To him. Yeah. I just think before I was kind of well, there was this thing that happens at this time, very vague description of what really happened. And then the more and more John got into the paranormal things, and
because I want to see something like that. That's I've seen some things myself.
Wow.
but I didn't have whatever it was interact with me. You know what I mean? Like that is just mind boggling. You know, like it's the only thing I saw that was that clear for me personally is my brother-in-law. I had my brother's passed. He's my stepbrother. He was a year older than me. So we shared a room, bunk beds, and we were probably about 7 and 8 years old. And we were bickering and fighting as brothers do. So we were sent up one at a time to get ready for bed. This was probably 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. And he came down the steps, and his face was white as a ghost. And I could tell that he was truly scared. So our problems just evaporated, and I wanted to see what scared him. So I walked upstairs, and in our room, the door was wide open, facing just inside the room, sitting facing out towards the hallway was a woman sitting in. I had a little plastic table chair set, Sesame Street, and there was a Big Bird chair and a Cookie Monster chair, and I forget which one it was, but it was sitting facing out of the room, and she was sitting in the chair with her hands in her lap, with her eyes closed, like she was meditating. And wow. she looked like Middle Eastern, maybe Asian. I darker complected. I can't. I'm a young kid at the time, so I just see that she was a darker complected woman wearing a red dress, and she's sitting there in meditation state, and I'm like frozen in utter shock and fear, and wow. And we're screaming for our parents to come up, and then we turn back, and it's like a light switch, gone, disappeared. She wasn't there, and then the room felt it. You could. Have you ever like smelled static electricity when it's like on the clothes, when it's really, really thick and you can hear it crackling and you could smell it? You could smell it, and the air was palpable.
Wow.
So that was something that always stuck out. And it was a thing that my brother-in-law over the years, did that really happen? Did you see that? Because I think it happened. It happened, right? And you know, because it's so unbelievable. But yes. That was one of those things that you know, is seared into your mind, and it just like the Milton story. So those are some of my experiences as a kid.
Yeah.
And another one that still has me completely confused now is I don't know what it was. Maybe you guys can weigh in on it. So I think our kids were probably 8, 9, 10 years old, 12. Maybe our oldest was 12 at the time. He's 26 now. No, it was longer than that. They were a little bit younger. They were younger kids. And we had all watched the movie and fallen asleep out in the living room. And we had an L-shaped sofa set. And I could see over past the sofa into the dining room. We had a dog crate. And we were potty training. We were crate training our puppy at the time, and she was a German Shepherd. They have the pointy ears, as everybody knows. Like when she's listening for something, the ears stick straight up. So that's what I saw, though. I glanced over, and she was sleeping on the long part of the sofa, and like over top of the sofa, because our youngest was laying next to you, was this thing, and it looked like a Batman mask. It looked like no features, just a black thing with very long, pointy ears. Picture a Batman mask, but skinnier and longer and pointier ears. But then I'm thinking, is that my dog? I'm looking at it, and I'm looking like this. I sit up and I'm squinting, and it's still there. And then I see my dog's in the crate, and I'm looking at it, and then it just disappeared. I never knew what that was. Nobody's ever seen anything like that. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it was an interdimensional being, a shapeshifter. I don't know, but I know that it was there. I did see it, and it's weird. I don't know what that was. So
wow, that is wild.
That is wild.
Oh man.
I mean, it was. We're talking like 1.5 inches from her. Inches.
Yeah, he tells me that like way later. I'm like, what? Like, and you didn't wake me up.
It just yeah, that was, I mean, I really didn't want to get up off the couch for that. I was kind of like frozen there for a minute.
Can't leave me there.
Yeah, well, I mean, it wasn't attacking you. If it was attacking you, I would have gotten up. But no, right? I mean, I definitely would have then. But no, it was just weird. It was there, and then it wasn't. I never saw it again. We had also an orb, and like you were talking about an orb. We had one in the same place, and the dog saw it. It was about the size of a basketball, and it looked like heat wave. Like if you ever seen heat waves above a grill or something, or off the pavement, it looks like watery heat waves. It was just a condensed ball of heat waves floating around. It was hard to see at first. The dog was looking at it, and then I saw it, and she saw it, and it was just floating around, and then it just whisked off, and it was gone. But it's things like that.
Our son caught a pretty good orb by accident.
Same place.
Playing a guitar in his bedroom. He
Same
was
place.
recording himself, and we were watching the video, and you could just see it. It was really, really cool. We were looking for that video. And we can't find it, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was on an
we really
old
wanted
phone.
to share that on our channel because it was really cool. But unfortunately, we no longer have the video. But I remember when we just seen it in just randomly in the video, how cool that was.
So I think that maybe you and her, you have had paranormal stuff kind of maybe follow you throughout your life. I have too. So is she. I think there are those people that are more receptive to it. And I think everybody has this ability. We're all made up of the same thing. We're energy. We're all the same thing. Right. So we all have a certain ability. It's just a matter of fine tuning. Some people are gifted at different things. It's just a matter of practice and getting better at stuff. But we all have that ability to some extent. But I can't imagine that. It would be tough. I know what it's like living with that type of activity. Like we've had it here, and for when we first started this, it got negative for a little bit. We had a little bit of an ominous presence here, and we were hearing a lot of like this water bottles popping, and it's weird, they would go off like a gunshot. You ever heard a water bottle sound like a gun?
I don't think so.
Neither have I till this place.
Scary, yeah.
They I don't know what they do, but this is my theory. When a spirit goes into a room, a lot of times you can feel a cold spot, right?
Yep.
Well, if they're able to pull energy from an area and change the temperature, then it would change the temperature inside this bottle, right? So wouldn't it make the molecules expand and contract? So it wouldn't make these things pop. It would make them make noise if you change the temperature of the bottle. So I think that's how they're doing it. But
and the lid stays on.
The lid stays on, and you just hear them crinkling. But sometimes I don't know how they do it. It sounds like a firecracker when these things pop, and it's startling.
It is, and that happens. That happens a lot now. That's happened a lot since we've really been like
not lately, but for a while it was really excessive. Yeah. So,
but not in a bad way. When it happens, I'm just kind of like, hello.
Yeah.
It's like,
how you guys doing? What's up, guys? Yeah,
I don't think I've ever experienced any kind of like water bottle or any kind of movement like that. We've definitely had the experience with the orb, and it wasn't just us. Like I said, our girls also experienced it, and it was the very same orb, and it kind of started off in their room, and it was almost like it had it, and it started off in their room, and it just whooshed, like almost like a whoosh through the house, and it went from their room basically to our door. And same thing, this one was green, almost solid-ish, solid light, basketball size, and it glowed around it. So not only was it green glowing, but it almost had like an exterior glow as well. Does that make sense?
Almost like a ring around the.
Almost like a ring around it.
Like a
But it
radiance,
was,
like a radiance from it. Like
yeah,
Mhm.
it was a good size orb. So it wasn't one of these ones we are always trying to depict on camera, right? These little tiny things that could be
Yes,
Right.
that's yeah.
dust or something. There was no mistake that
Wow.
this was what it was, and the kids came following it. They were scared to death. They literally chased after it to get out of their room and to come get mom and dad. And it was insane, and it was scary. There's really no other, even when you are into it and in those moments, it's just
Yep.
it's shock. It's shock
Yep.
that just occurred.
Powerlessness too. You can't do anything about it. You know, like what?
Right.
That's
Yeah, and the energy in the room is, it literally takes the air out of the space. And I feel
wow.
it's not just like that you can't breathe because of what's happening. It is almost as if the oxygen is pulled out of the room. It was really was intense. I don't know how to ever relay that story with the right wording to help someone feel.
It's almost like there's like a pause. Like if they're supposed to hit a pause button on time, like that's what it felt like. It just felt like nothing was moving at all. It was just, there was a pause in the air, in the time.
Wow.
And it was just, it's very hard to describe the feeling that was going through the house when that happened.
That would be so scary. I can't even imagine that, especially with the children there, because you're not, that's that unknown. Like, why is this happening? What is happening?
Yeah. Who is it? What is
it? Yes.
Like, she's only been scared to tears once. Like that was the only time you've been spooked since we've done this, the paranormal stuff. She experienced what I experienced a couple of times, at the first cemetery we where the Ulysses S. Grant's grandparents are, and it's the experience of somebody's running up on you. You hear somebody running like they're gonna football tackle you. They're running up on you, and you can't see them. You can't see them, but you can hear them. And
but that feeling that you like
gives
just described, like I don't know if I felt like that that pause or that hard to like breathe type out of fear, or if it was because of just the way the energy shifted. Like the energy shifts so differently, and you could feel it like inside. It's really like, you know that it's alarming. I understand not being able to describe that feeling. I have had those things happen a few times where it's just undescribable.
Yeah, indescribable. Exactly. And I know definitely what you talk about. You know, sometimes when we've been on investigations, the feelings that come with whatever the entity is, you know, sometimes you don't get a negative feeling, and you can say almost with certainty that whatever it is that's here, it's here, but I don't get any negative feelings from it. And sometimes, like one of the last houses we did, whatever was there was extremely negative. And just like you just said, it literally makes you ill. It is a physical illness. Your stomach starts to hurt. You start to feel sick to your stomach. I also get a headache.
Yeah, I was getting lightheaded and dizzy, which I normally don't. And there were certain parts of the home we were investigating where if you went through this certain part of the hallway or into the room, you just feel disoriented. You started to feel like dizzy, like your head was spinning or the room was spinning. So it definitely was not a good energy, so to speak. So.
So you guys are was that like a residential investigation or that you were doing, or?
Yes. So we've had the opportunity to go, how many have we done? Not a whole bunch, but we've done, I think three or four now. One of our really good friends, we would call our lead investigator because she's just more known in the community and has relationships and she's got the stuff and she's been doing it way longer than we have. So we just kind of follow her lead, if you will. And she was called in by some friends to a home that I believe they had done a cleansing at before. And this particular home, we were there live. We live streamed it. This particular home, she said, had a portal. Now, with the exception of us saying, I think that we had a portal under our house, this was a little bit different. Um, this one was more of a physical nature, meaning the first time she saw this portal, it was a visible thing she could see. And the way she described this portal was like a mist. Like you could see this round mist and there was no explanation for where a mist would be coming from. Clear day, corner of a yard, no sprinklers, no nothing. Try and debunk it in every way you can. And there
Right.
just was no physical exclamation for this mist. So this was before we were with them. So they'd been to this house before. It was a friend of hers and they had cleansed the home and shut down, if you will, for a lack of better words, the portal. And so things had started happening again in this home, and the homeowner had called her and said, I think the portal's open again. And when we went into the backyard, it almost kind of made sense. And again, if you're a non-believer, this all sounds like mad crazy talk. But when you looked up in the sky, the alignment of things made sense. You could see the way things were lined up planetary wise in the universe. But not only that, we were right underneath one of the most busy what do you call it? Landing strips, and that's for LAX. It is just
Oh, wow.
plane on top of plane on top of plane on top of plane. So if there was ever to be some type of UFO activity, this really would be a place where that energy would make sense.
And this is to piggyback off that. When she did go to close it once, she did see a vision of a gray, an alien, if you will, come charging right at her.
Yeah.
The head, the big black eyes, like she saw this gray charging at her right when she was in the process of closing it. And she had that vision of it, and she could never shake that out of her head.
It
So
still scares her.
That was scary.
that's why I kind of think that there is something out there because of just all the air traffic that's above. And a lot of what we've been seeing in our media now is a lot
Finally.
of UAPs that the government's coming out with. Okay, there could be something here.
Yeah.
We've possibly made contact. So I think as slowly as things are starting to surface now in our lifetime, it just makes sense why there would be a portal there. And of all creatures, a gray or an alien, if you will, to come out and make themselves known. So really creepy stuff.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So
Very intriguing, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And so the crazies that we've all called crazy, now that it is now becoming commercial and spoken of, are hopefully sounding less crazy.
Yeah.
So we went there again, and we couldn't physically see it, but definitely with the equipment we had, there was a lot of activity. And one thing you'll just never be able to convey, be it a live stream or a vlog style, is the energy that you feel when you are there.
Yes, exactly.
And
Yep,
it
that's true.
was something that there was something in the house and there was something in that backyard. And so I couldn't physically see what she saw the last time, but you could feel it. And it got to the point where both of us simultaneously at the same time, without even talking to each other about it, we both started getting a headache on the very same side of our head at the very same time.
Wow.
And also not just our headache, but a pain in our side. And so she was grabbing her side as I was going to grab for mine, and it was like, wait a minute, are you feeling this? And so we had decided at that point to give it a break for a little while because we were starting to feel really bad really fast. It happens quickly.
Yeah.
And then we
Yeah.
went back in the house.
That's a good idea. You have to. You have to shut it down if there's any negative stuff. If we get told to leave, or if we feel something's just not right, because we work with a psychic friend on a regular basis, and that's one thing that she expressed to us, and our spirit friends that stick around, they warn us, when we get that feeling, time to wrap it up and shut it down. You don't push it when you feel those things.
And they'll let you know. They'll let you know that they don't want you there anymore.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Yep.
And then
as soon
when
as
we
like
went,
that first warning. Sorry.
yeah, oh no,
Good.
no, you're fine. And then in that house, there was definitely an evil presence. And my last update on that is that there's still some stuff going on. I just talked to my friend a couple days ago. There's still some stuff going on, and I don't know whether she's going to go back or not, whether we would be going back or not. It's up to the homeowner. So, and then we had another one in Moreno Valley that we did. Were we live for that one, or did we just vlog it?
I think we just vlogged.
I think we just vlogged that one. That one was the first time ever at the end when we went to cleanse the house. You could feel it go out the front door.
Oh, wow.
That was the first time we'd ever experienced that.
We've felt energy shifts before. Like they're palpable. You can feel them when it happens. You can really feel it. That's another thing that, like you said, that you can't see that physically on a video, but like we can physically feel these things, and it can be very intense, like, especially during a cleansing. Like we need to do one here. We're overdue, but yeah, that's cool to actually to feel that just shoot out the door.
It was in that moment of asking it to leave, when everything was wrapping up and we'd gone through the house, we'd saged it all, prayed through it all. At the very end, that final asking it to leave, and in those moments it just went.
But then prior to that, right when we started our opening prayer for this, we can hear in the distance, we heard an audible a growl. It was just like just a gurgly growl, like that they were just whatever was there consuming the home, whether it was a spirit or something demonic, it was growling at us because it did not want that house to be cleansed. It was it was pretty scary when we heard that.
And I think that's a big part for me personally. Is it's fun to go do the investigations, but now is we're just starting to scratch the surface of actually being able to provide a service, to actually walk away that night knowing that you did the things to help them. You didn't just go in and get your footage and, okay, now we've got content. Well, of course, we're excited to have content. We're excited to share what just happened. But there's a reward, and the reward is because we know what it's like to live in those conditions, and they're not easy, to help somebody through the things we're learning by doing this to actually possibly cleanse their home. And that night was the gratification. We asked it to leave, and you could feel it exit the house. And that was incredible.
Mhm.
That was incredible. And there's no way to share that properly either. That was intense.
I love that you're helping people with that. That's really too what John really wanted to start the channel for. Like there was a tragic accident that happened here many years ago, 20 something years ago.
Yep, 2003.
And I can't tell you how many times we drove by the scene of this accident. It's a terrible story, but and he would just think about it and talk to me about it. We, you know, like you said, we met in high school. So he remembered it, and I didn't remember the story. I think at one point I even Googled it because I'm thinking, like, I have no clue what he's talking about. I don't remember it being such a big deal that he would like hold on to it for all these years. You know, it was a tragic story.
I didn't know,
but just to remember it when we didn't go to school with the young man, you know, it was just that, like, why did it keep coming back to him, basically? And so when we really wanted to start our channel, he would go over. It's the places like we could throw a brick from our home and land in the parking lot.
Used to be a movie theater.
Yes.
There's a mall across the street, and there used to be a movie theater there. And this kid was 16 years old, and he and you can see the movie theater from the expressway when you get on. You can see the back side of it, and we see the front side of it from where we're at from the mall. But it's no longer there. It's torn down. But anyways, this kid, victim of bullying, pressures in life, whatever, low self-esteem, and he drove
his car
to the side of
the building,
and you know,
and that was that. Yeah. So he remembered that story for many years, and like it was almost like we commute past that. That's the thing. Like there's no direction we go to leave to go.
That's getting on the expressway.
That's getting on the expressway that we don't pass it. Even if we don't take the expressway this direction and we go the other, you have to pass it. And almost every time we pass it, he's like thinking about it, you know. Mm-hmm. So him and my son went over there when we were starting the channel, and that's kind of really when things blew up. Like he really wanted to do it, as I was expressing before. At the time, my youngest daughter still lived home, and I was working and just busy. So we were trying to make it a family thing. Actually, we wanted our kids to be involved, and so that's really so they went over to the parking lot where that happened,
and we got good stuff.
They got some really good stuff from that.
With the K2. That started with the K2. That was before I started using the spirit box as much. But so our psychic friend, so we had a couple of people or a couple of spirits around us, and through the spirit box, I kept getting the name Steven, and hey John, it's Steven. Hi John, it's Steve. It's Steven constantly. So I thought he was from a cemetery. A cemetery we were going to that we were going in. It was an unknown section, right? So they were unknown number 11 through 51. So unknown 11, unknown 12. So we'd go back to, hey, is anybody upset that you're unknown and your name? And so we thought these names coming through were from that section, right? And we thought, well, we're at the cemetery. It's got to be the people that are buried in the cemetery that are unknown. So my psychic friend Lynn, who comes on our channel a lot, she's like, no, he's from over there. He's not from there. And he's like, and she was telling me he was from over there across the street. He was not from this cemetery, and he passed from, taking his own life. And so I tried Googling it because he was a juvenile at the time. There's nothing online about this accident. So I went to the library and I had them help me pull microfiche out, and we're looking through papers, nothing. So I went to one of the times I was over there, I'm in the mall parking lot after hours. So I got pulled over twice.
Actually, she's in the chat right now.
Yeah, Lynn's here too.
She's in the chat.
There she is. So I'm over there, and I show the police officer my evidence because he was literally lighting up the K2. pinning it, answering our questions. So I was like, do you remember this? He's like, oh, absolutely. So I ended up going to the police department, and they sent me the crash report, his letter that he left, and everything. So I get the email, and I see it. I see that it's from the local police department, and I couldn't even read it, guys. I was shaking. I was like, I don't even want you look. And I gave it to her. I gave the phone to my wife, and she's scrolling down through. I said, what's his name? What's his name? She's like, hold on, I'm not down there yet. And then I saw her eyes get as big as saucers. And she's like, it's Steven. So from there on out, right, she floored me with that. But from then on out, I realized that there was more than one Steven because they had different voices. So I said, okay, this Steven, whose name his last name I won't say, that I don't put that out publicly because I want to protect that. I said, in his letter, he addresses his letter to a fellow classmate, a girl, and he addresses himself. He refers to himself as Steve-O. So Lynn had the idea. Okay, from now on, our Steven, you ask him to come through as Steve-O. So from here on out, he comes through as Steve-O, and we've developed a bond. And he literally, he's one of the ones that when we're in up to here and you know what, and we're in the cemetery at night and it's time to go, he gives us a warning, leave, get out, so along with the Tottens. But so that, long story short, for some reason that accident always stood out in my mind. And here it was always I think we're all on a timeline, and people are supposed to cross paths, and people are, I've very narrowly escaped death several times in my life. And I think that there's a reason for that. And Lynn wholeheartedly believes that being able to deliver messages with the spirit box, I have a friend whose son passed, and he had a lot of guilt over this for years. And his son came through, and I was able to get him the answers, to get that weight off of his shoulders. Hey, it's not your fault. What was the reason? Was it this or this or this? And I was able to give him that answer, and to see that weight come off of this man, that was priceless, and that's I knew then that this is literally, I knew from Steve-O's point on that this is what we're supposed to do. And she kind of realized that too. So that's the cool part in this, is that we're able to help someone. Yeah. But that's
why. Yeah, that's your why. Wow, that's incredible. That's strong. I love it though.
Exactly, Lynn. That's what it's about. Helping families to heal, doing as much as possible to help people in the living realm, and also in the spirit realm. I have another quick story, real quick. I'll be brief. Third grade, I switched from public school to private school, and I was new, and on my street there was a couple of kids that were in my class. So I became friends with one of them, and right as we became friends, he moved to another neighborhood. And shortly after he moved, it was around Halloween time. He was out back playing in the tree. As young, I climbed trees all the time when I was a kid. We all did. And he had a friend over, and the kid wanted to see my friend's. His name was David. The kid wanted to see David's Halloween costume. He said it's in the garage. So the kid ran around to the front, and in that time, David slipped out of the tree, and he was swinging from a dog leash, and he accidentally hanged and passed away. So
jeez,
he comes through all the time now, and it when I realized it was him, it was it was a very emotional moment for me, because of that was the first real up close personal experience with somebody passing. And so yeah, that and Steve-O, those are things that and that's why I take this stuff so seriously, what I do, because it really is
I think it's helped him heal too. I think not only do we enjoy helping others heal, but I really think it gives us our own peace of mind and some healing and that feeling of the unknown that I feel like a lot of people have, you know. I think sometimes people aren't as receptive to this type of community and things because of the fear of or you know, I mean, sometimes religion and other things have to do with it, and I understand that too. I truly believe to allow people to like each person believe is that of their own, you know. I'm not judgmental when it comes to those kinds of things, and I truly mean that. I was you know, being a critical care nurse, I have said many prayers with or held hands of people, different nationalities. People do different things, and I've embraced every culture you can think of at the bedside of a dying family member, you know. So I just feel like no matter my feelings on it, if you ask me to pray with you, I'm going to pray with you, you know, regardless of my own beliefs. And I'm not saying which way I believe with anything. I'm just saying that, you know, I'm very open to all of those things. I just told John recently that I'm just now really starting to like understand. I think I said, what? I had to look up the definition, to be honest, of like an empath, because I'm starting to realize that I've always been somebody that people just will stop and tell me their whole life story, and we'll be in the grocery store and he will be like, let's go. And I just stand there and listen. And I get this, you know, if they're telling me a sad story, I feel this incredible sadness for them. And if it's a happy story, I mean, I really, and I'm just now realizing it as I get older, how much people's energy really plays a part on my like own physical emotions. You know what I mean? So, and I think that's pretty cool. I'm trying to embrace it right now. But sometimes too, I realize I get a little worked up for other people too. And so as I'm getting older, I'm really starting to become, and this has really helped me become in tune with that. We would be watching back some of our videos, and I will be saying to John, like, I feel, I don't know, I don't feel right. Like, just like, I'll just start like looking around, and then we'll start hearing like warnings to like leave. And then
not till later though. She's picking up on it, but at the time we're missing the voices and the EVPs, and later, I mean, we can feel the energy, but later when I go back and review it, they're saying stuff, and they're giving her messages, and she's picking up on it, and I'm just oblivious, going on, running, you know, doing my thing, but she feels it long before I do. So so it's our combination, you know. They're drawn to her, and we complete each other as an investigative couple, I think. So it's that's the magical ingredient, you know what I mean? It's the combination of the two of us.
It's the dynamic you two share together. That's the magic.
And I mean, what you do is your profession is such a calling, and now you're learning maybe more of the why that you just didn't realize before. And it's so nice to hear that you haven't lost your compassion for people in the daily grind, because that's not easy to do. You know, when you experience such sadness and heartache with families day in, day out, it's easy to get into a place where, to protect yourself, you don't feel that anymore. But that you are still present and able to help people in the hardest and last breaths of their life, and you still remain compassionate. You are an amazing lady.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I enjoy it. I really do. Things have been a little crazy, and my middle daughter is a nurse, and I keep saying, maybe I want to go to teach. And she keeps saying, like, Mom, we really need you at the bedside. That's what she tells me all the time. We really need you there. And, so sometimes that little push, it feels good to hear that from your daughter, of course, but she like really idolizes me. She like, it's
that's why she's an RN.
She's like literally followed in my footsteps with everything. She's so cute. So She's a good kid. But so she reminds me though. She reminds me of that. And like I would remind her when she's in nursing school, she would just say, you know, some of the things she sees, not everybody's a great nurse, you know. So I have to, you know, it just feels good. So I appreciate your compliment. Thank you very much.
It's not an easy thing to do.
I think the gift is actually going. I think that the empath abilities, or the maybe the psychic ability, kind of runs in the family a little bit. Our grandson, we were watching him a couple of months ago, and it was interesting because the Totten family that are always around, they had a lot of kids, and they lost a handful of them under the age of 10, but that was common back in the 1800s.
Right.
And one of the kids that we would bring dolls for at the cemetery, one of them was Rachel, but another one was Cora Totten. And one day we were watching our grandkids, and my grandson was bringing a doll to his little sister, and I said, "Oh, what's that doll's name?" Our grandson's name is Ace. That's his nickname. Ace, what's that doll's name? He goes, Cora. And I was like, he was 2 years old at the time. Where did he hear the name Cora? That's not like it's a very common name, right? And we don't talk about what we do. So it's like, okay, so there are some Totten children running around here. So I just thought that was so cool, that I truly believe that somehow he interacted with those children, because they make their presence known around here quite a bit.
And our daughter has shared, he has said something about my grandmother who passed away before
he was born.
Before he was born. He's a very intelligent 3-year-old anyway. So my daughter has a picture of my grandmother like by her refrigerator. She was very dear to me. And then she also like would watch our kids while we were working and going to college and things. And so very close to them too. So he's just brought my grandmother up a few times, like in a dream, and it really kind of scared my daughter. My daughter she is into it because we're into it. So she'll watch us and things, and we used to take them to a few places like for vacation.
She peed her pants.
She did.
She peed her pants. That's a good. That's interesting. Yes, she wanted to be around it. She wanted to go with us, but the second that the flashlight and the K2 lit up at the same time, she peed her pants.
But she was a teenager.
She was a teenager.
So she was like, let me emphasize that, because if she watches this later, she'll be like, Dad, you said what?
That's all right. She was a kid. She was exhilarated and scared. I mean, that's no harm done.
It's real.
But
it's
she, I mean,
games until, right?
Right. Well, she wasn't expecting that to actually happen. Like, she thought that was just TV, that wasn't real. But
That's right.
and that was that incident right there is what really hooked me.
Yeah.
You know, and it's because when you get that interaction with that realm, and beyond the shadow of a doubt, you're talking to somebody that no longer has a body. That is that's so exhilarating and exciting. So like that's why we do it. I never get tired of doing what we do. Never.
No, I love your use of flashlights.
They love those.
Yes.
Yeah.
You
so
definitely had a lot of good experiences with them using that energy to communicate with you.
Yeah, I love that. They love that. They think they're magical. The two of the Totten kids, Emily and Emmett Totten, are the ones that go flashlight crazy. They think they're magic. They say it, they're magic. And then when it's funny because they start bickering, because you got to set them just to where just barely twist them and they'll turn on. So if I don't set it sensitive enough, one of them starts accusing the other one of breaking it. He's like, you broke it. You broke it. Yeah. So they love those. But yeah, that is exhilarating when the flashlight pops on. They've mastered the ability, a couple of them, and they flash it like really quick, blink it, and I can't even twist it on and off that quick. So they learn how to blink and like strobe it almost.
He loves that. He loves when it does the quick. He's like, oh, now I know. Yeah, it's really cool.
Are you there? Boop. You're like so they confirm after you say, "Oh yeah, they're listening," and then they go bloop, and it's like it's just confirmation, and it's just so cool. It really is so cool.
Now, tell the people who don't know, who are watching you here, tell us about the Tottens.
Okay, the Totten family. We have a local pioneer cemetery. There's a few of them actually, and the Totten family are a family. The patriarch of that family in Cincinnati is John Totten. He was born in 1800. He, at the age of 12 years old, he fought. He was in Ohio's first militia and fought in the War of 1812. He lived, I believe, to the age of 78, and had. They have listed 9 children, but we keep getting the 10th, the 10th, the 10th. So there's a 10th child in there somewhere. But 2 years prior,
that could be? Do you think maybe that could be a child that was never born, that maybe never made it Earthside?
That could be that. Yes. I didn't even think about that. I was going with maybe one unlisted or maybe an illegitimate child, like outside, like, but I don't know. I didn't want to put that on.
What she said.
But that makes sense because in the video that comes out tomorrow, they talk about unborn. You're unborn. We're the unborn. So that there is a child. Yeah. That's you just figured it out. I think that's what it is.
She gets a prize.
Yes, that was awesome. Because we have not discussed that as being a possibility yet. And we have been we've gotten on Ancestry, to try to figure out like that is what the Historical Society suggested to us when we started. We really wanted to research the family, we were just really intrigued. So, but
we got more Tottens. See, now I know the Tottens in this cemetery, but now we're getting a Samuel Totten. We get a Samuel very clearly. I have him on EVP, on the Spirit Box, many, many times. So I found a Samuel married to an Emma out of New Jersey. So doing my research, the Pioneer Cemetery has people from New Jersey. Major Benjamin Stites is one of the oldest people from there. And he was in the Revolutionary War. He's buried there. He's originally from New Jersey. So I'm like, okay, he's from Jersey. Now we have some Tottens that I found from New Jersey. So that I guess they're definitely connected to the Cincinnati Tottens. I just don't know how, but they're connected. Wow. So for some reason, they have taken a liking to us. And it's
I don't think we've quite figured out why.
Like Lynn believes that I may have been a Totten.
Wow.
I don't know. Like I've asked them a couple of times. I've gotten mixed answers. Some of them say it's just I've met them through doing the Spirit Box stuff. We have the word's out with the Spirit Box stuff. There's so many people that have shown up and have gotten pushy with boundaries at our home. The Tottens kind of have taken that role of you can't come any further. This is private space here. My Nana is also another one who. So. It's long story short, everybody has family members that they talk to more than others. There's falling out, some families and whatnot. So we were very close in my youth. But long story short, she passed here recently, and I found out through the Spirit Box. She came through the Spirit Box, and I Googled her, and nobody reached out to me. She had passed 9 days prior from when I found out on the Spirit Box. Wow. And when I said we had a little bit of negativity here, that was before she passed. She cleaned house. So I have her and the Tottens, but the Tottens have taken on like a protection role. And it's really unique. We've got this relationship with this family that we've never met in life. So that's it. That's all.
And it's mostly the kids. It's the kids that kind of hang out with us a lot as far as the Tottens go.
Yeah, they feel safe with us. We know that for sure that a couple of them perished in a fire.
Oh, man.
to do research on that to get the. I know that to be true. They've confirmed that many times, but I want to get it in writing, so then I can put up the document and then the EVPs and show, look, guys, this is real verification. This happened. But we there's a lot of that we can do. So it's yeah, they're a really cool family that we like to interact with.
They're your guardian angels now.
Yes, in a way they are. Yeah. And Steve-O is another one. Steve-O is he's become kind of like a brother in a way, like to me. We're very close. I even know it's funny because he came through one time and he said it's Steve-O, and he said favorite song is Roxanne by the Police. So every once in a while I'll play Roxanne, and Steve-O, this is for you, buddy. So like so I'll say, hey bud. I call him my bud. He's like, hey Johnny, Steve-O, buds. He says stuff like bud, hey bud, stuff. He verifies what I say by repeating it. That's the coolest stuff. That never stops blowing my mind. But
that's incredible.
I don't know. I sound crazy to people. I know. But that's the thing. We're not trying to convince anybody to believe in what we do or to believe in the paranormal. We're relaying messages that we get, take it or leave it. If we can help some people, then we're here for you. The last thing I want to do is push it on somebody and say, oh, look, this is what it is. The way you look at it's wrong. This is it. We don't do that. We just present what we have. And if you like it, good. If you want more of it, then we can give you more. But yeah, we kind of just take the more of like the helpful approach, to anybody that needs a message.
I think that's great. Just like we were talking about, with the learning, and by no means are we professing to know what we're doing or saying that we are any ability to give any advice on the topic, but the learning of and maybe the declaration through the moments of feeling something leave a presence. That's the payoff. What's the payoff? And it sounds like you have many payoffs, and for you, it's definitely delivering the message, and someday you may even be able to use that in some profound way that you may have already and not even realized it. Maybe someday you can write about the Tottens. That would be an incredible story to share, especially if you are able to do that. These days, so many people listen to their books. Yes. And now you have things you would be able to supplement with that. I think that would be an amazing thing to put your time into.
That's a great idea. Yeah. Yeah, that's a fabulous idea, actually.
It's funny you said that. You used to want to write. Like you really had That's really funny.
I have actual blank books here. The white hardback blank books you can buy just to practice or make stuff, rough drafts. I actually have some.
It's funny though, because they've probably been in a storage bin for can't tell you how long. So the kids move out of the house and I'm like literally cleaning house, like getting rid of all this stuff we've had for years and freeing up all these spaces. I have all the ideas for these rooms. I find these books. And I'm telling him, donate, throw it in the donate pile. What are you doing with these books? I'm like 15 years ago, like literally 15 years ago.
That's all right. I'll get it around. No, but that's a great idea.
I need it.
That's it. Yes. I'm like, okay.
You haven't needed it for the last 20 years. I will need it.
Yeah. It's when you get rid of it, that's when you're going to need it.
I need to find it.
That's normally when I think about something, and it's gone. Just threw that away.
Okay. And they're still in the storage bin.
Yeah. So we just talked about it the other day that if for some reason we decided to not be on YouTube, we would still do what we do, and nothing would ever change. Because just interacting like with the Tottens, like we've developed a relationship with these people, and to us, they're just people. They just don't have a body, and it's, you know, we can't have a real-time conversation, but maybe one day there will be technology that we can do that. You know, like the EVPs are coming through so steadily. Like I'm actually looking into parabolic microphones. Like if I can literally amplify that and hear them in real time, okay, well then we can have a real time conversation. So I think that you know, we're getting really close to getting there, to get through to that threshold. You know, and right now the spirit box is one way that I know that we can do that. You know, it's
I was
just
going to ask, since you'd use a lot of equipment, what do you find out of all the equipment that you have? What's been your most I don't want to say successful, but where have you gotten a lot of good like EVPs or good getting good feedback?
Results,
Yeah, good
yeah.
results from your equipment that you've been using.
You mean locations or look?
Just your equipment in
What
general.
equipment
Oh,
would
okay.
you say?
I think that
Like the one that's best at getting evidence, kind of like
Sure.
that. His favorite,
Yes.
like with that kind of thing.
well, oddly, we're catching here recently. We've been catching these constant EVPs. Now the spirit box is cool, but what I think is even cooler is when you catch the voices without the spirit box, when they're just real EVPs. So we've gotten stuff a lot with just regular with an iPhone, but I have a cheap digital camcorder with night vision. With a cheap, it's not too cheap, but it's an external microphone. Not that, well, I'm not using the built-in microphone. It's just an external microphone. It's not very expensive, and that thing is picking up EVPs constantly that my phone doesn't pick up, because we record with that, and I record it with my phone as well, because I keep when I run the spirit box, I run it close to my phone, so I have a very clear audio of that I can review. But that seems to be getting really good EVPs. Like I like that in combination with like the flashlights, because even though we do get accused of using remote control flashlights and all kinds of craziness, I said, go try to find a remote control flashlight. Good luck finding it. You know,
They probably do have it nowadays.
But that's cool though. I like the combination of that, because one thing adds validity to the next. You know, it just reconfirms, because if you got a flashlight blinking and an EVP at the same time, because we've noticed that sometimes they work in tandem. We'll get a loud voice and the K2 will flash and the flashlight will flash, and it's all like at the same time. So it's all them affecting everything, the energy at once. So it's neat when you have multiple devices all confirming that same thing.
We get so excited still. We've seen it now so many times. It's insane. But every time it happens, I mean, you could hear it in the video. I'm so excited every single time it happens. It's like it's happening for the first time again. When it happens with several of the devices.
Yes.
You know, like it's almost becoming normal to use the spirit box and talk back and forth, you know, like that's still really exciting. And there's still a lot of things when he edits that I didn't realize we even caught. That's really cool. So that's always cool. That's still exciting. But when you get things that start happening in different sequences and it's more than one thing, and you could just feel that extra energy, it's exciting every time it happens.
Yeah. I think the spirit box is what has brought the abundancy of spirits around, because they know that once they are involved in a spirit box session, they know that their message is going to be heard. It may not be right then, but within a day or two, I'll hear it, and then it gets played on a video. So like they literally, I have an EVP of got any more messages? Got any more messages? So they're talking about messages. So they know we're passing messages. So I think that, like I said, with the boundary stuff, Lynn had to help us with this, because we had spirits literally physically knocking on our back porch sliding door. Like I could hear it.
Wow.
Yeah. And she saw them. Like I was doing a FaceTime with her once. We were talking, and she was basically just doing a light reading on me. And we were on FaceTime. She's like, "You got somebody at your back door." And I didn't tell her that a week prior I saw a shadow figure standing outside on our deck, like a shadow.
Wow.
So she said his name is Ray, and he wants to talk. He wants to push a message through. So I said, okay, well, I'm not doing it. I'll do Spirit Box tomorrow. So Ray, I'll get to you tomorrow. So I was supposed to do it at like noon, but something changed and I didn't get to it. So come like 8, 9 o'clock, I physically hear a knock on the back door. He was getting impatient. So I turn on the Spirit Box. The first voice to come through, Raymond. It's Raymond, he says. So
Wow.
it was that was another time that Lynn just blew me away with her gifts. So
that was still kind of new. I was still kind of getting a little scared when things like that happened. So like,
Of course.
knowing Raymond was there every time I walked by that door, I couldn't look. I had to like run up the stairs. It was comical. And then after a while, I realized it didn't bother me as much because the energy doesn't feel bad in our home, you know? So we have like a lot of stories that happen in here, which is why we investigate in our home sometimes just to talk to people. And, you know, like I said, it's cold here, so it's still fun. We still want to do things inside and, or outside, but it's too cold. So, and we want to get our Spirit Box sessions in. So
they come to us.
Yeah. And so I think that's really cool. Yeah.
So what did Raymond have to say?
He just wanted to say hello. He just wanted to, that's it. He just wanted to say hello and be heard, to be acknowledged.
Be acknowledged.
He wanted a visit. That's it. That's what they want, a visit. The Simpsons, Ulysses S. Grant's grandparents, there's a tongue twister. They just said they want to thank you. They want to thank you. Somebody said they wanted to thank us because I gave them an honorable mention. That's all. I visited them and mentioned them. Most of the time they enjoy the visits. You know, because after 100 years or so, or 50 years, how many visits do you get? You know, like you kind of are lost in time and space. So, you know, I think the Tottens probably hadn't had many people talking to them in many, many years. So when we showed up, it was like, oh, wow, you know, we got somebody that knows we're here and they want to interact with us. So, you know,
the floodgates opened.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How neat is that?
It's been fun. It's fun.
Yeah. So yeah, it's good.
If someone was to ask you, what do I need to do to start doing what you're doing, what would you advise them to do? Start with what?
Well, first I would you have to think about it long and hard, because when you start doing Spirit Box stuff, spirits are going to come your way. Okay, so they're going to follow you home. There's no I'll do a protection prayer and this not. If they know they can be heard, they're going to come to your house. So you have to know that that's going to happen. If you're okay with that, but of course you should. I always see. Look, I wear a St. Michael's pendant all the time. Another thing, my psychic friend Lynn says you always have red cloth in your left pocket. So I carry a red string on me in my left pocket all the time. And it helps keep evil from attaching. So I do things like that. You have to do things to protect yourself. But you have to know that you have to be prepared for unexpected energy, because they can attach to you. So, but if you want to do what we do and you're okay with all that, any Spirit Box. Get a Spirit Box, and
you have to be patient. You have to be really, really patient with the Spirit Box, because it was a long time before we even realized we were really getting. I have all the patience, and he is like, he is very little. Yes, he'll admit it. I'm
a guy, guys. So I'm a typical guy. I
mean, there are some men that are patient, buddy. Okay.
Not this one.
So we're polar opposites. We are, and I really think that's honestly why we work so well together. We know that we're polar opposites. He is like the storm, and I am like the calm. And so it took a while. Is that you guys too?
Yeah. I'm the storm. He's the calm.
I can tell that in your voice. Well, you both have very calming voices, but when John is listening to your shows sometimes and I hear his voice, it really does just make you kind of feel like you have a
relaxed,
really good, very relaxing voice.
Chill.
I have to say,
yeah, so chill.
I could feel the calm, but you do have to be very, very patient. Because he would be like thinking the equipment was busted, he's like, oh, we're returning this box, I can't take it,
we're not getting nothing, it's not working.
And I'm like, just give it a minute. Yeah. And then he started, when I said to him, just late night talk, like, you just really got to be patient if you really want to make this like work for you. You believe in this.
Oh yeah,
you gotta
that's it. The energy, that is another huge thing, guys. Energy. You have to have positive energy. If you go on the spirit box and you're all worked up, you're irritated, you're flustered, you're ticked off, not a good thing, because that's like ringing the dinner bell for malevolent spirits. So you always want to go on positive frame of mind and a positive attitude. You'll get way better results, because those are the people you want, the positive spirits. Advice. You don't want the negative ones.
That's right. That's good advice. To piggyback on Raymond, Lynn says, Raymond was one of the unmarked graves.
Okay,
that's right. I think she told me that at one point.
That's right. He wanted to. Yeah. He's he never came back. Yes, he has. He has come back and said hello a couple of times, but he hasn't spooked us by standing at the back door. He was a big fella. He was probably 6'2", 6'3". A big guy. So like when I saw that shadow figure there, it spooked me, because I wasn't. But and then like 2 days later, I'm in the basement and there's an exact. It's the same type of sliding door. We have one in the basement, and then one on a
second level.
A second level, and the porch is on stilts. That's where he was. But I was on the bottom floor, making sure there was a stick in the door so nobody could, because I just go down and check that from time to time, make sure the house is secure. And right when I was thinking about seeing that spirit, the light bulb blew, and it was completely pitch black. And I thought it was her turning the light off, playing with me. And I'm like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "You play," and I didn't hear anything. And that's when I realized, that's Raymond fooling with me. But he was just, I guess, just saying hello. I don't. He never came back though. But you have to be positive, and that works wonders.
Positive and patient. I think
patience.
Yes.
Positive and patient. The two P's. I like that. A question from one of the people in chat we've got from Mitch's Adventures. Are there any of the phone apps that you would go behind and say it works? Maybe Ghost Radar, or are there any of the, I'm going to see which one we use. I always forget the name, and I always have to pull it from my app store.
I have a friend, it's Blake Isaacs. He's got a channel on YouTube, and he uses an app. There are some that do that. I'm not too familiar with them. Like what we have is an SB7 and an SB7 Pro. But there's like the S box that's out. That's another one that's out there. And then there's several apps. If it's just a radio and sweep mode, that's all you really need.
Right.
Like Lunar Paranormal, she's got a channel. She has just an old clock radio, or an old handheld radio. That's it. It's not a spirit box. It just has a sweep mode, and she uses that. So any radio and sweep mode, they can bend the radio waves. So.
Mm-hmm.
And is that basically what a spirit box is? Is it just like a sweep radio where it just picks up the frequencies?
It's the cheapest. it's crazy how much they charge for these things, because that's all it is. It's the tiniest little, $2.99
Right.
cheapy little radio, and it just has a sweep button. That's it. And of course, they've done a couple of features to it, but they shouldn't cost what they do. But I mean, for what they can do, it is pretty neat. But that's all it is. It's just a radio, and it's cool though, because we get some voices where they speak in a sentence, and it literally, that sentence sweeps across like 7 to like however many sweeps. So it's the same voice and it's sweeping across 7 sweeps to make one long word. That can't be radio interference, because one sweep would be just a blip, and then it wouldn't keep going. It would stop. So
I remember when he had to explain that to me, and then I was like, oh, that is so cool then, because, sometimes you do get radio interference. So you're trying to figure out what is like radio interference versus what you're really hearing, that's spanning across those like sweeps. So I didn't really understand how it worked or how he was deciphering the two until he explained the radio sweeps to me. And then of course, just like, as the more and more we do it, just picking up on that. So I think we've always just used that because that's what we saw them using on TV a lot of the times.
Right.
But we have met people while we've been out investigating that use a lot of the apps on the phone. Like we were kind of using our spirit box while they were using their app on the phone, and seeing the differences in what we were getting and stuff. So that was really cool. But we don't personally use the apps on the phone.
Yeah,
I think the one I was using, I think it rebranded, but now it looks like it's called Ghost Science M3, Spirit Box and Ghost Detector. And one time I was using, I think it was essentially the EVP, but it spells out the words for me. And when we were doing an investigation, actually in a mortuary, it was an investigation in a mortuary, and we've done that one twice. I think it was it the first time? And the spirit box and the things that were being spelt out on my app were coinciding.
Yes. Yeah.
See, that I love that. So and that right there is validity, adds validity to both of them. Yeah, that's cool.
I do have a quick question for you, because we have been trying to learn how to network and things like that, and we are really wanting to try to get into places. So do you guys, are these places where you live that you go to open to the public?
Oddly enough, with the mortuary situation, it was a popular country radio station here in California in Riverside County, and it's called K-Frog. And it was during Halloween time a couple of years ago, and they were talking about not believing in ghosts. And it was our friend Louise, I think it was her sister or someone, called them. They wanted someone to call in and talk about investigating. And I believe it was the mortuary that also facilitated, came in and said, hey, you can come do your investigation here.
Oh, wow.
And so then that went so well, if you will, that they said, hey, come back anytime. Now, we did it one more time. The time that we went and did it then, unfortunately, they let us know they were selling the mortuary. So that kind of closed that door, and the new owner wouldn't hear of having an investigation in there. The first time we did an investigation in there was really crazy because they had just had services. And this was a very, very busy mortuary. This wasn't your small town, maybe a couple people a week type of thing. This one was crazy. And during the pandemic, it was so busy because they are the overflow for the county of Riverside. They
Oh, wow.
had they had to have refrigerated trucks in their parking lot. I
Yep,
mean,
they did it too.
we're
Wow.
talking just volume, sad volume.
Oh, man.
And the first time we did an investigation in there was right after, and the decedent was still in um, the hall, what do you
The
call it?
layout room,
The viewing
parlor,
room.
Where they
yeah.
did the services, like their chapel, if you
Mhm.
will. And we picked up on some things in there, and then it ended up being it was from a murder.
Oh my goodness.
And so, but the energy in that room during that time, so the two morning show hosts from that morning show from K Frog, they were there with us that night. And one talk show host believed and one did not. And so the point was, after these occurrences, will he believe? And so I think we just about got him there. The second time we went, they did not attend. We were able just to go again. So we recently just started a Instagram page. We recently started an Instagram page to hopefully put in there a form that if people believe they are having activity in their home and they
That's
are in the Southern California area, they
Great idea.
can fill out that form, and we would be able to come in and do an investigation, and then do a cleansing.
That is awesome. That is a really good idea. That's what we've really been like working on
Toying with that idea, how to do that.
I've reached out to a couple places like around here. I always want to be honest. I don't want to, because I know just how people feel about the situation. So there's like a bed and breakfast locally that has some history. I reached out to them. We wanted to pay to stay, but I just said, obviously, I just want to know. I don't want to go there and like not be able to take equipment, especially at a bed and breakfast where people want some peace. And it's not really, this particular bed and breakfast is not known for that. It's not like the Thomas House or places that we've seen on TV that are known for those types of investigations.
We've been to a couple places. Not receptive.
Yeah, I would say that's the hardest part. The hardest part is finding places to do investigations. One, it's extremely costly. Trying to go, the first time we did a historical home here in Santa Ana, we had to hire security. We had to have insurance. It ended up costing hundreds and hundreds of dollars. You break it down into groups, but it's still a costly venture.
Yes.
So trying to get your name out as a resource, if you will, is probably the best way to go about it. Luis, our head investigator, she's just been doing this for so long, and we're really just blessed to be able to join them. And she really does. She's the one that's known. Maybe through us doing this, and people start sharing stories. Hey, maybe one day someone would invite us in. But I'd say that is the hardest part, is finding places to do it. We have found a couple cemeteries that you can go into after hours and not necessarily, be violating anything or what have you. We've done some of those. We haven't had a whole lot of activity in the area. I think the reason for that is the big one, the P word, the patience word. There's a new one we're getting ready to put on the books. There's one here in Redlands that we're getting ready to visit, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, it takes time, I think, to build the traction and get your name out, like any business, right? Not to call it a business, but like any business, be it real estate, be it whatever it is you may do, it's word of mouth and that getting out there. So we just started a Instagram page to hopefully help with that.
Yeah, we're gonna do the same.
We just discussed getting an Instagram page. Actually, he just asked if that would, we'll just said that's something we
because you can link them all. Like they have the setup. They have it all linked together. That's and it's just a matter of
we're still learning that kind of stuff, to be honest. And I could probably definitely get my kids to like sync everything for us when we're all done.
I'm more advanced now than our kids are with it. I used to ask my kids for everything. Hey, can you edit this little clip and stuff? And having to do all this stuff, like I don't have anybody to follow. Hey, can you teach me how to do this? So I literally had to learn how to edit, how to do all these things. So, I'm actually pretty proud of myself, because with the patience, I would get frustrated many times, but I've been able to navigate this pretty well. So I'm we're getting good. I think that it's only a matter of time. We'll be once we get a couple of investigations under our belt, I think the word of mouth will get out a little bit. So
definitely,
we're almost
definitely. But I think you're doing the right things. I think the cemeteries are working really well for you. Here, there's a lot of, you can do ghost tours, you can do ghost walks. I don't know why I've always kind of gone against the grain on those, because it's just so rehearsed. It's so commercial. It's so rehearsed. And so
a lot of them don't want you, and they don't want you recording a lot of the times, because because we were going to do that when we went to Myrtle Plantation, and they don't let you have cameras out, because then nobody will pay for the tour. It'll be on YouTube. Right. But so, and then you don't want to be with a big group.
If they're having activity of any kind, and you've got people constantly getting that on camera, I would say the opposite would occur. I would say they would be booked out a year in advance.
Yeah.
But if nothing's happening there to record, well, then there you go. There's your answer.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
The power of social media and people who share the things on social media, I think it's one of the best advertising opportunities that you can not pay for.
Yep.
Yeah. No. Absolutely.
It's a different type of world today. It really is.
Yeah. I'm still really trying to get used to it, because he's the type of person who would like walk over in the middle of the mall. He's ready to record, and he doesn't care who stops, who sees. And I'm kind of like, yes, exactly. Yes. I'm still like, I'm kind of shy when it comes to that stuff, really. So, but then in the same breath, I'll see a 14-year-old, walking down the hall, and he's like, and we're live on YouTube, and he's, just doing his thing. And I'm like, did you see that? He said, I told you. And I'm like, it's hard. It's hard.
If these kids can do it.
It comes natural to them, but she still is at the phase where she doesn't like to hear her own voice on a video. And I remember that in the beginning, it really bothered me. But you get used to it.
I cringe a lot when he's listening to the recordings in bed. I have to put my earbuds in.
I hate my voice. It's horrible.
Yes. Yep. But it's a work in progress. I'm satisfied with how we're doing, because we've been able to help a few people, and that's been the big reward along the way.
Yeah, I think you guys are doing amazing.
Thank you very much.
So are you guys. Yes. Like, you guys are really growing, and it's really, you guys are always putting up content. It's that they're really good for that. I would like to take a lesson from them with the content, with the posting, because that's what it is. Regular posting.
Dead mom right here.
It's a lot of work. I have to give it to you. It is a lot of work. So
yeah,
you guys are doing great too.
It's almost a full-time job.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah. Well, I can't thank you two enough for taking time of your night. It is 3 hours later for them where they are in Ohio than it is for us. So you giving your time, we are so grateful. Thank you for sharing your stories. Is there anything that you would like to share to close out?
Not much, guys. If you want to, we're starting a new thing on our channel, and it's going to be on Saturday nights for now. We have 2 psychics. Lynn, who was in the chat, she's been doing this a long time. She's going to be doing like mini readings. So if people want to stop by and get a reading, you can even get a reading from the chat, because people's family members come through just by typing in. You don't even have to type your name in, just your energy being in the chat, your family will show up. But this Saturday, we have 2 psychics. She's working with a psychic that's newer in the field, but she's gifted, and she's going to be working with yes or no questions, and Lynn's going to cover the more in-depth stuff. So that's Saturday night, and if you guys like the spirit box stuff, we're the channel to go to. I mean, we do a ton of that. But
and everybody and every type of paranormal experience, and we're just into all that stuff, the Halloween things, the aliens,
the horror stuff, that's
true
our cup of tea,
crime,
guys.
So please feel free to stop by anytime.
Yeah, everybody's
welcome.
Thank
you very much for having us on your panel. It's been very nice meeting and talking with you.
Yeah, guys.
Let everyone know how to find you. We've got you on YouTube for Married with Paranormal, and Instagram. How can people find you there?
We're going to be building one. There's soon to be, probably in the next day or two, we're going to have a Married with Paranormal Instagram. And I'll put all the links on the YouTube, so you can find it all there. But for now, Married with Paranormal on YouTube, and we post regularly. So tomorrow at noon, we have a premiere coming out. So stop by and check it out, guys.
Awesome. Well, we're going to go ahead and put you backstage for a second. We can't thank you enough. We enjoyed having you on here. And hopefully we can follow up again in a few months when you've got new stories to share.
Thank you.
All right, stay put. We will be with you in just a second. I'm just going to take you here while we close out. Weren't they the best? We've been talking to them almost, I'd say, since we just about started our channel. We found them in our chat, and they are just such a beautiful couple. So we're so excited they came to share their evening with us. And you guys, thank you again for joining us, like you guys always do, on Thursday nights when we do ghost stories. Next week, we're going to be doing our second Fogcast, our podcast where we interview people from, specifically at this point, Not Scary Farm. So we've got a couple of really awesome people lined up for the next Fogcast. And to close out this week, tomorrow we will be live at Disneyland, and possibly Saturday we will be live at Disneyland. We're excited to meet our friend that you guys see in the chats, Mighty Mel. We'll hopefully get to see his face. I don't know if he wants to be on camera or not, but we are excited to meet him. Anything you can think of?
I think that's about it. Just make sure you guys please go follow again one more time, Married with Paranormal, right here on YouTube. Please go show them some love. We greatly appreciate it. They appreciate it as well. So gosh, I think that's about it. Thank you guys so much for tuning into another ghost story night with us. Again, be ready for next Thursday as well. Round 2 of the Fogcast, and our live streams in the parks that turn on notifications so you know when we go live as well, folks. Thank you guys so much for being here. We appreciate it.
All right. And we'll see you all
a little later.
Good night, guys.
Good night.